Alright guys, happy Thursday. We got a little extra story in this week's lessons. It's expository text. Now, expository text isn't told like a fancy story. It's just giving you facts. And we're going to learn how the bearded owl is part of a food chain of the forest. Energy in the ecosystem. In spring, the climate of the eastern woodlands warms up after a cold winter. Daylight lasts longer, but by the middle of spring, the sun's energy has awakened forest. Trees bud and put forth leaves. Grasses and ferns pop up from the forest floor. Songbirds return, the woods comes alive with sound. At night, the forest echoes with peepers, bullfrogs, and yip-yip of the red fox. One call that can be heard often from the forest is a sound like, "Who cooks for you? Who cooks for y'all? This is the call of the bearded owl. I don't know if I made the call sound right, but I tried. The night hunter of the forest. From its perch high in an oak or hickory tree, the owl studies the forest floor. Far below, voles and mice eat grasses and grubs. They do not see the hunter watching them. Remember, owls are very camouflaged. The living woodlands. All forest plants, animals, and other organisms or living things depend on non-living elements. A forest ecosystem needs a balance of sunlight, moisture, temperature, and soil nutrients. Any imbalance of these non-living elements will harm the forest. For example, a drought or long periods, notice the context clues here, long period without rain is a definition of drought, will kill plants. Without plants, animals die. In forests of eastern United States, energy from the sunlight, nutrients in the water and soil allow plants to grow. These plants form the first link in the forest food chain. A food chain is, context clues, the path that energy takes from one organism to another in the form of food. Energy from the sun flows through the food chain, joining all the plants and animals in an ecosystem. Several links in the chain join plants with the creatures that sit in the treetops of the bearded owl. The energy from the birds feeding plays an important role in the first link of the food chain. How? Okay, below, layers of plant life in the forest produce food by using energy from the sun and nutrients from the soil and water. Forest food chain. The forest food chain begins with organisms that make their own food. They are called producers. Grasses, trees, and other green plants are producers that feed forest animals. Organisms that cannot make their own food are known as consumers. Any animal that eats plants or plants product is a consumer. Some forest consumers, such as a rabbit, are herbivores that eat only plants. Other mammals, such as voles and mice, are omnivores. They eat plants as well as insects and worms and grubs. Higher up on the food chain are organisms that eat other consumers. In the forest, birds of prey, such as owls, occupy this link in the chain. Owls are carnivores, which means they eat only other animals. Notice the definition right underneath it. Since owls cannot make their own food, they are also consumers in the food chain. And now here's our flow chart. We got the sun, and then we got the plants, then you got the little animals and the bigger animals, and then when they die, these fungi, they break them all down. Fungi are not plants. You'll learn more about that in science. Back to the cycle. Fungi play a different role in the food chain. They are decomposers. Decomposers recycle all the waste and remains from plants and animals back into the ecosystem. The dead material becomes soil nutrients, which helps plants grow. With sunlight and water, the cycle begins again. When an owl eats a mouse or a vole, it digests the meat and organs of those animals. However, the owl cannot digest fur, teeth, or bones. Wait, we're getting to it. These are formed into oval pellets. The owl throws up these balls of fur and bone after every meal. They're called owl pellets. Owl pellets are often found on the ground around owl nesting places. They provide food and shelter for moths, beetles, and fungi. So the beetles will eat that, or the moths will eat that. If you are near a forest at night, listen carefully. Do you hear it? Who cooks for you? Who cooks for you all? All right, here's what this picture is. Owl pellets are an important source of food and shelter for some insects and fungi. The bones, teeth, and fur that make up each pellet cannot be digested by the owls. So instead of going out the other end, they cough this back up. And then sometimes you can find that underneath trees where owls live. All right, guys, that was kind of a fun, exciting story. Stay tuned for your assignment.